Please like, subscribe, and follow the Empire of Ideas for more. The Battle of Fort Sumter, the opening conflict of the American Civil War. Introduction. The Battle of Fort Sumter marked the official beginning of the American Civil War. Located in Charleston Harbor, South Carolina, Fort Sumter was a federal military installation caught in the escalating tensions between the seceded southern states and the federal government. The events surrounding its bombardment and surrender in April 1861 signaled the collapse of political compromise and the start of open conflict between the Union and the Confederacy. Background. In the months following the election of Abraham Lincoln in November 1860, several southern states, beginning with South Carolina, seceded from the United States in protest of what they perceived as a threat to the institution of slavery. By early 1861, 7 states had formed the Confederate States of America. Despite South Carolina's secession, Fort Sumter remained under Union control, garrisoned by Major Robert Anderson and a small force of U.S. soldiers. The fort became a flashpoint in the growing crisis. The newly formed Confederate government, viewing the presence of federal troops in its territory as a violation of sovereignty, demanded the surrender of the fort. At the same time, the Union government, under President Lincoln, was determined to maintain its authority over federal property. The bombardment. On April 12, 1861, after failed negotiations and a Union attempt to resupply the fort, Confederate forces under General P.G.T. Beauregard opened fire on Fort Sumter at 4:30 a.m. The bombardment lasted for 34 continuous hours, during which the Union garrison endured heavy shelling, but did not return significant fire due to limited supplies and manpower. The fort's defenses began to deteriorate under the relentless assault, and with no reinforcements in sight and no viable means of defense, Major Anderson agreed to surrender on April 13th. The Union soldiers evacuated the fort the following day. Casualties and immediate consequences. Remarkably, there were no combat-related deaths during the bombardment, though one Union soldier died in an accidental explosion during the surrender ceremony. The fall of Fort Sumter had profound consequences. In response to the Confederate attack, President Lincoln called for 75,000 volunteers to suppress the rebellion. This led 4 more states, Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Arkansas, to secede and join the Confederacy. The confrontation transformed a regional political crisis into a full-scale civil war. Conclusion. The Battle of Fort Sumter was a short engagement militarily, but a monumental turning point in American history. It represented the end of compromise and the beginning of a brutal 4-year conflict that would reshape the nation. As the first military confrontation of the Civil War, Fort Sumter symbolized the irreconcilable differences between North and South and the high stakes involved in preserving or dissolving the Union.